Hello, my name is Reese Flowers, and I'm the executive chef of Mount Carmel, New Albany Surgical Hospital, as well as St. Anne's Hospital. Today we're going to be making chicken jambalaya. And I'm going to give you the ingredient rundown. So I have a little bit of oil here, some chicken stock, some brown rice, bay leaves, some dried oregano, minced garlic, smoked paprika, cayenne, salt, black pepper, black-eyed peas, canned diced tomatoes, as well as diced onions, celery, and red pepper, as well as some fresh thyme. So to go over a couple things real quick with you, I also have some okra here. It is optional. I recommend people try it. Sometimes people are turned off by it. I don't know why. I think it's because it can't help us. It's an ingredient that's in the actual okra that it gets slimy. Don't worry about that. If you're cooking this right and you rinse it off, you put it in there, you might have a little bit of that, but it adds to the consistency of the rice. So, push past it, try something new. With this as well, I have traditionally in jambalaya, you're used to having a lot of like sausages or things that help bloom the flavors. You can still do those things, but what I recommend is adding different spices to those things. So I'm using smoked paprika to kind of build on those flavors and still get the things that, or the consistency of the flavors that you would get with the sausage, so to say. So with all that, we're going to get into things. Oh, lastly, before I forget, the brown rice. Notice when you're cooking rice, I always do I think it's 2 to 1. I think 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1. So 1 cup of rice to 2.5 cups of liquid. That remains the same when you're cooking brown rice. Just know when you're cooking brown rice, it will take a little bit longer. So if I'm cooking something like white rice, it'll take like 20 minutes. When you're cooking brown rice, it'll take like 25 minutes. But take it out, check it, make sure it's done, taste it, and you should be able to good to go on that. So we're got to get started on our chicken jambalaya. The main protein in our chicken jambalaya is chicken, more specifically chicken thighs. So to begin, I've added, I believe it's 1 tablespoon of oil to my hot pan right here, and I'm just going to add our chicken thighs directly to this. We're going to cook them all the way through, as you do chicken. The temperature you're looking for when you're cooking chicken is 165. If you have some bigger pieces, you can stick a thermometer or probe in there so you can get an idea of what your temperature you're looking at for your chicken. Or if you're like, hey, I'm a pro, I got this, take a piece off, cut it open. You'll know as soon as you cut that open that chicken is cooked all the way through. I'll say when you're cooking something like this, chicken that's been cut up, salmon, even shrimp to a degree. When you can see it, you can see where it's kind of like rising up on the side. That way you know it's being cooked. I let that sit until it gets like halfway up the protein. Then I know I can turn it over from there. So, good little chunk of advice. I didn't show you this, but you should know in the bowl that I had set this chicken up, I cut the chicken up, I seasoned it with the salt and pepper and put a little bit of oil in there. That way I didn't have to, you don't want to stick them together. When I put it in my pan, it'll cook off the right way. So we've been cooking our chicken now for about 5, maybe 6 minutes. I flipped it one time and I've got a good sear on it. So once it's cooked at this point, I'm going to pull it off and put it on a plate and just set it aside. And then we'll move on to the rest of the base of our jambalaya. Moving into the base of our jambalaya, we're going to start with about a tablespoon of oil and a nice heavy pot that you can get a lot of ingredients in. As you're might kind of cover this because you're going to have to steam your rice as well. So to begin with that, we're going to start with our onions, our celery, and our red pepper. Yeah, nice stir. Gonna let that cook for about a minute. Then from there, we're gonna add the rest of our spices as well to this. Always wanna season as you go, because you're building flavors, especially with something like rice, because you can season it at the end, but it just isn't the same. Might not cover everything, it might not reach all the little crevices. Now, I use dry oregano. You can use fresh oregano. I have fresh thyme. I enjoy using fresh thyme. I use it in a lot of things. The thing that annoys me about thyme, as good as it is I don't like pulling all the little leaves off of there. So if you've got like, I'm using just a piece of celery that I've wilted a little bit, and I use that to tie this. But if you have like some butcher's twine at home or something like that, just tie it all up and throw it in your pot. Then once you're ready to eat, you can remove all those things and you'll still get all the flavor. I think it's a little bit more concentrated as well. Still have the okra, but the okra is something you'll add closer to when you're finishing up your jambalaya. Maybe like right when you add your rice, it comes to a boil and then you stick it in. You don't need to cook it right now because it doesn't take that long. So we've added all our vegetables and spices to this, and we're gonna let it just kind of sweat, which means you're not gonna cook it at a high heat. You just want it at a low to kind of release all get the aromatics working, get all those juices and all those things kind of flowing out. It should be smelling real good at this point. Let that cook for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. From there, we're gonna add our black-eyed peas, our tomatoes. I'm going to add the chicken back to this. Our rice. And then our stock. Now the idea for this is you want to bring this back to a boil, cover it, and it should take like 20 minutes from there. So again, we're going to bring this to a boil. The one thing to consider about all of these things is you're really just waiting for your rice to cook. Again, we're using brown rice, which is a healthier rice. That takes a little bit longer, so about 20 to, we'll say 25 minutes just to be on the safe side. But check that. Take a little kernel out, a piece of rice, check it. Break it with your finger. If it breaks apart, then you know that it's cooked through. Taste it. It shouldn't be hard or anything like that in the middle of it. So once you have that and everything's reduced down, you've got your rice working, you've got everything, all the components in there and the ingredients, taste it, and you should have your good chicken jambalaya ready to go. All right, so our jambalaya is finishing up. As you can see, that most of the liquid has all been absorbed into the rice, and we're ready to serve. Taste it, adjust your seasoning if you need to. And at this point, I would just put it in a bowl, serve it. If there's something like crispy or crunchy you want to serve with it, do that. Now's the time to add all those things, but just enjoy. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Amy Shea, and I'm nutrition faculty with Mount Carmel College of Nursing. In this video, we're going to discuss the chicken jambalaya that you just saw prepared by Chef Reese. So winter is my favorite time for soup, right? I think, during the winter, those cold months, we really want to have a nice warm bowl of soup that we can enjoy and have with maybe some delicious baguette or other kind of delicious bread. So I love this recipe. I think it's just an awesome, very nutritious soup that has lots of great ingredients. So the first thing I love about soups in general, and this one does a great job, is it's a great way to sneak in vegetables. You don't really notice how many vegetables you're eating because they're all in the soup. They've all absorbed these delicious flavors of the soup. So as you know, for this particular recipe, we're getting onion, pepper, celery, tomatoes, okra, all of these amazing vegetables that are going to give it a super fiber boost. And if you look at the nutrition facts for this recipe, you'll see it really does offer a lot of fiber. So good for your GI bacteria and your gut health. Keep things moving. That's going to be great. Another thing I love about this particular soup is that it has brown rice. So we probably don't think of rice as a typical component of soup, in particular brown rice. I love that this recipe really gets you to kind of add that extra whole grain. So not only do we get our veggies with fiber, but we also get our whole grain with fiber. And you can see on the slide all of the other nutrients that are provided by the brown rice. So magnesium, phosphorus, selenium, manganese, thiamine, niacin, B6, wonderful array of nutrients from the brown rice. And then lastly, you got your protein from the chicken and the black-eyed peas, and that's gonna give you that increased satiety or fullness. So you're gonna feel really satisfied after this meal. It'll keep you feeling full for a long time. You won't have to run back to the kitchen for a snack all that quickly. So I hope you enjoy this delicious winter soup of chicken jambalaya.